get the knee injury at the beginning of 2005, and we next see you at One Night Stand. So Paul Heyman and you and other people had convinced Vince McMahon to do an ECW reunion show. Can you talk a little bit about that and managing to get that put together?
Yeah, the Extreme style was always my favorite. Like I said, that's my best showcasing. I loved it when I came into WWE when I was representing ECW. That only went so far. I loved it when I had the hardcore title because that meant everything to me. And it was a joke before I got there. That meant the hardcore match meant they were going to go knock over the taco stand in the hallway or something, or use a plunger in the bathroom, or it was like silly stuff with Bob Holly, El Snow, whatever. But to me, that style I had all the respect for with what I did in ECW, being able to add that extreme element onto already really good wrestling, not taking the place of wrestling, but adding it onto it. And so I loved having the hardcore title. I made it mean so much. It went from a joke to a main event position. I was main eventing some live events as a hardcore champion. So what did they do? They retired the hardcore belt because it was meaning too much. It was never meant to. And somebody didn't want that to be a competition with the other belts that meant a lot more to the other wrestlers. And but that was always, anytime there's a ladder match, anytime you could throw the rule book out, to me that meant now it's time to be creative. Like when we had that Elimination Chamber match, it was the first of its kind. We just sat there all day looking at it, thinking, like, wow, what if I climb up there and jump? And it was, that's always been what I appreciated the most out of the business. I went to Vince and I said, Vince, what's the reason that you don't do an ECW pay-per-view that's like a reunion? Because, you got like so many of the roster, like you don't even have to bring anybody else in and, just have it be like ECW style. And he said, well, Rob, I think that's a great idea. And I thought for sure he was going to say, well, the reason I don't do that is because A, B, and C. He'd never thought of it. And he was like, I think I could make a lot of money with that. And I was just like, whoa, my emotional penis got hard. And so I hit him with a list. The next week, I went back to him with a big list. I said, dude, you know that all these guys that you have on your roster are former ECW? I said, look, and I went, Benoit and Jericho and the Dudleys and, this guy, that guy. And he was like, wow, I didn't realize that. And so, I told Paul right away what happened. And Paul was like, great, I'll stay on him from this end. And it was like, and Dreamer as well. But, after I planted that seed, Paul was the one in the office that was trying to keep him in line with all the crazy ideas they were having to completely obliterate what ECW was. And Paul would come to me and say, like, they got 10 stupid ideas. I think I can get 7 of them turned down, but we probably have to deal with 3 of them. It was like that.
And you were injured at the time that you were on the show. Was it important for you to be on the show even though you were injured?
It was my show. It was like, the reason I told Vince, let's do an ECW show is because I wanted to wrestle ECW style. I wanted to show my preferred artistic form to the millions of people that watch ECW, to everybody that watched ECW and loved it, but to all the millions of people that watch WWE that might not have seen ECW or weren't used to it. So, me being a part of it was 100% part of the plan. So when I got injured and I had my knee surgery and then I couldn't be part of it, that was heartbreaking. So that was the first promo that anybody heard me do that was a shoot straight from the heart. You know, nobody had to okay that for the first time ever. I went out there and nobody knew what I was going to say. Although I did run some ideas by Edge, you know, does this sound all right? You know, some things I had in mind, but that was it. And, you know, I said, this hurts worse than missing WrestleMania, and that's how I felt at that time.
And then, from that, you end up. They bring back ECW the next year. Were you in agreement they should make ECW a brand and bring it back, or were you hesitant that if they?
No, dude, I was all for it. I thought, wait a second, if I can wrestle ECW style on WWE's stage on their spotlight, you just added 10 years to my career. And I had this match with Rey Mysterio. You guys might have seen that. It was SmackDown versus ECW prior to our third brand kicking off. This was like one of the introductory matches, and I was so happy. And everybody could tell, people that would watch the match were just like, you seem so happy again, just because I could bring the chair in and do my special moves, you know, like monkey flipping on the chair and skateboard kicking the chair into his face and all that stuff. I was just like, I just felt like I wasn't held back and forced to conform in such a way that it was really, you know, liberating. And when the third brand actually came out, I expected it to be like ECW, because Jim Ross would say when he was commentating, ECW means anything goes. And that's what it meant at first. But then after a while, it didn't mean that. You know, they added rules. And then, and before that, they started polluting the talent pool by bringing in SmackDown guys and Raw guys to wrestle on ECW, which I didn't understand. I thought what would be cool is if ECW is a place to settle scores and you go there when you're really ready to brawl it out, that would be really cool, and you can keep it true to its nature. But to have the regular rules and have it no different than SmackDown or Raw, and you're bringing Matt Hardy and Kane and guys that aren't even ECW or going to be, but they're just on the card because you think ECW isn't going to draw enough attention. And that's what it was. That's what they thought. They thought we needed the help the whole time, and they didn't let us be true to ourselves. But, you know, sure enough, when they added the rules and all that, I knew they were done. And I told Vince, I said, no, you're killing it. That's what makes it different. And, you know, you got Raw and SmackDown. They have rules. This is, you know, Rob, my referees need credibility. All right, well, you're the boss. You know, I mean, what am I going to tell Vince? But obviously, the referees in ECW had no credibility. You know, everyone laughed, like, what are they even doing in there? Why are they even trying? Because they would try. They'd try and pull a chair away from you or whatever, but they were there to make the 3 count, and you know, and try and be reasonable, which was, you know, all of what the show was about.
And at One Night Stand 2006, you win the ECW title, you win the WWE title. Talk about that day, talk about that moment, and how much it meant to you.
Well, I didn't let myself truly believe it was going to happen until it actually happened, until I actually hit that frog splash, and then I was crawling over to him. I was pretty sure then, but once I covered him and got the 1, 2, 3, then that was definitely the highlight of my career, and not just because, you know, like I said, the titles didn't mean as much to me as they did to other wrestlers, although I knew that's the driver's seat. You got the WWE Championship, you're the guy, you're the man. I knew that. But I never let it go to my ego, you know, like the other guys do, where it's like, I drew this house tonight by myself. I mean, I don't get that. That's never going to be me. But although I just said earlier, all the ECW guys were chanting. But in fairness, that was like 1,000 people, not 50,000, all right? But what was I talking about?
Did it mean a lot to you when it finally happened?
No, but the point that I was trying to make, it did mean a lot. I was just saying not as much as everyone else. But for me, the reason that was so special was because the build-up for that match was my entire career up to that point. It was being hardcore. It was sticking to my guns. It was ignoring the right advice. It was remaining extreme when everybody else was always trying to change me. And that's what got me to that night where everybody was 100% behind me for what I believed in, because they all believed in the same. You know, we were like-minded, and there's never been a night truly like that one in my over 30 years of a career. There never will be. Everybody was all 100% not only for everything I stood for, but also against everything that the other guy stood for, which was shoved down their throat and forced as wrestling. And it was just like, it was so special that for me to go away the victor that night validated the previous 20 years or so of my career, and also validated what I'll be remembered for in the future's history.
And I mean, also that night, John Cena, when he came out, I mean, I assume he obviously knew he was going to get booed, but do you think, did he quite estimate how hated he was going to be that night?
He knew that he was in for a rough night. He knew that for sure, and he was looking forward to it. He thought it was going to be really fun, and I think he really enjoyed it. I don't know if anybody could have expected quite, quite to the level of passion that the Extreme fans have. And we had, the best of them gathered in one of our historic buildings that holds the energy like so good. I don't, who could have really known if he threw his shirt out, someone was gonna wipe his ass with it and throw it back, Yeah, but he knew that he was gonna be getting booed, and that's not even the first time I'd seen him get booed. But he's a professional. In Wales, in Cardiff, I saw the one time everybody booed him. He got on the mic and he said, "That's so great that you guys are reacting. It'd be horrible if nobody was making any noise, but at least I know you're having a good time, and that's what we're here for. And let me hear it for you. You can't see me." Everybody just boom. All of a sudden, he just turned him around and everybody loved him.
But not in the Hammerstein Ballroom.
That was paraphrasing. That wasn't his exact promo.